Looking forward to have real, unfiltered, heartfelt conversations about what it means to be a Christian in the 21st century? Welcome to Unveiled. Here, we answer burning questions, address misconceptions, and uncover truths hidden in plain sight. Now, let's get into the episode.
Hi.
Hi. Welcome. Today is another episode. And as always, my name is Lola Are, and with me today is
Tabitha Dee.
welcome, Tabitha Dee. How was your week?
Oh my goodness. It was a long week, but up and grateful.
Up and grateful. Insert that meme of jumping up.
And how was your week
It was
too?
okay. I mean, some days were longer than the others, but you know, you are my boss in this, so I don't think my week was as long as yours. No, but actually being serious. I'm actually being serious. For those of us listening, Tabitha Dee is actually wearing so many hats right now. So yeah, she's my role models. I want to be like you when I grow up.
I won't say anything. It's fine.
Cause you got nothing to say. So today we're going to be talking about worship as a lifestyle, honoring God in our daily living through actions, words, and choices, not just through songs or serving in church. And today, the topic already is giving Glasgow's like I'm ready
Right.
for the for the conversation. So, when we talk about worship, usually when you want to describe worship, you describe it as an act of reverence and honor. And a lot of the time, when we talk about worship, people's minds, especially in the church, go straight to singing of songs. And that's why we have sections in our services called praise and worship. As though we have this funny thing where praise is the fast song and worship is the slow song. As though either cannot be the other. But I want to put out to you listening to us today that worship is so much more than just singing songs or singing hymns. And I'm going to be reading from Romans chapter 12, verse 1, so that we have a bit of context to it. Romans chapter 12, verse 1. And it says, I read in the NIV version, therefore I urge you, brothers, in view of God's mercy, to offer your bodies as living sacrifices, holy and pleasing to God. This is your spiritual act of worship. So, like I said, we started off with saying that a lot of times when we're talking about worship, people are going to be thinking of music, singing, lifting up your hands, lights, sound, all that drama. But in light of this scripture, we're now talking about offering your bodies as a living sacrifice. So it seems so much deeper. And this verse helps us to understand that worship is something to be done with our very lives. Like it's not just us singing, it's the dedication and offering of all of ourselves as a pleasing sacrifice to God. So true, proper, sincere worship that's acceptable by God involves our entire being, not just our mouths or just not just lifting of our hands. And there are different ways that we can worship God. Firstly, you can worship God through giving. And we have the story of Abraham and Isaac. For those of us listening, that is in Genesis 22, specifically verse 5, where God asked Abraham rather to sacrifice his one and only son. It might not seem like it was. It might seem like God was just trying to be mean and demanding and wicked or just, testing him. But the fact that Abraham decided to give Isaac up, reckoning in his mind that if what's God was, God can always raise him back. And even if he doesn't, he's still God, is a form of worship because you are giving something. And that's why I think whenever I think of what the psalmist says, that's David said, I'm not sure whether it was First Kings or Second Kings, where he was like, I will not give anything to God that does not cost me. It's very interesting because a lot of times I think we feel like we can just give whatever, and we go to church maybe during offering or whenever we have to give, maybe God is saying give something, you're just like, oh, as far as I just give just this little out of what I have, I've shall given. But we see the story of the woman who gave her last coins, and Jesus saying that this person has given more than every other person that came, because everybody else just gave something out of their abundance, but she gave of all she has. And how this is worship is that when we give, how we give and what we give show how much reverence we put on the person that we are giving to, show how much we honor God, and show how much we are willing to inconvenience ourselves for this God. Tabitha, do you have any other forms or ways that we can give to God or to worship God rather?
Yes, definitely. So just like you rightly mentioned, worship is sacrifice. And of course, just the same way you would vividly imagine what a sacrifice in quotes looks like, right? It means that you're giving out something, just like my co-host just explained. And for you to be able to do that, obedience is right at the middle of that. So I
Mm,
think all of these things are interconnected in a way. And in my last blog post, I think it was published recently, and
okay.
it just occurred to me recently how that the patriarchs and the matriarchs, right, that we would term as those men and women in the Bible, we say women of faith, men of faith. How did they even arrive at that place? They simply got instructions
Mm,
and they decided to just follow, they decided to obey. And obedience is a state of the heart first,
mm,
right? So just like you also rightly picked on, it is first a position, right, of your heart. So if you claim to be a Christian, if you claim to be a believer, right, and you say, oh, I want to worship God, and you are doing it just through the words of your mouth or just by singing songs with music, right? I think it's incomplete because based on biblical references, based on some of the things that we have seen in scriptures, right? It's obvious that these men, these women that we read about, obedience was one key thing that they held really dear, right? And a particular scripture in Deuteronomy 11 verse 1 says, love the Lord your God and keep his requirements, his decrees, his laws, and his commands always. So obedience is really key, right? And another very vital form of worship is a lifestyle. Coinage of both words, life and style. How do you live your life? How
mm,
do you live your
mm,
life?
clock
Again,
it.
how do you live your life? The term or the what we're generally described as Christian, right? The meaning is okay, we're trying to live Christ like. Christ is at the very center of the kind of lives, right, that we should live. And a very key story that portrayed this was the story of Cain and Abel in the Bible. And right from when we were in kindergarten or even primary school, we were taught how they both offered God sacrifices. This was that, that was this. But at the very, very center of that, it just showed how that, okay, it's not about what you're even bringing forward. It's not about what you're actually now giving. So that's why I was saying that all of these forms are
Mm,
interrelated.
mm,
It's not just about what you're giving, right? It is about who you are when you give that thing out. Say, for instance, you are in church and you want to give, just like Lola also made reference to. You want to give, you want to do this, you want to do that. And right there and then you're already calculating, okay, this is the last cash in my hand now. And if I give this thing out,
mm,
which money will I use to do this? You're already
mm.
getting worried.
Yeah.
You're not just letting go. and just saying, okay, God, I know it's you that even gave me this money to even start with. Okay. So I'm going to give it back to you because I'm sure that, of course, whatever it is I give to you, you are going to replenish.
Mm.
I'm not saying that should be the target or that should be the focus of our giving. I'm just saying that whenever we want to give things, we should focus on the intent. Okay, why am I giving this thing? Is it from the right place?
Mm.
Because God actually even cares more about who we are in that moment, right? If you're living a holy life, if you're living a life that is Christ centered, if you're living a life that is really, really open to giving out to people, blessing others, giving in that particular state, right,
Mm.
would make God even happier, right? Instead of, I don't even know how to describe it, but I'm sure we all understand what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
So Lola is going to take us on the very, I don't want to call it popular, but yes, I'm sure some persons are already expecting us to talk about it.
I was just about to say that. Let me give disclaimer. Oh, it's not like we're saying that singing songs or praising is bad, though. It's not worship,
Right.
oh, because some people like, so does that mean it's not worship?
No, I
It's
totally love that as
worship,
well.
oh,
Ah,
it's
no, no, no.
worship. Even if you go through the Psalms, like the book of Psalms, enough is enough to tell you that singing songs, even though not all of them were songs of praise, some of them were songs of lament, which we're going to talk about in a different episode. But like singing songs to God is part of our worship because for people, okay, so as someone who can sing, I'm going to be a little bit biased now. I'm going to be like, for people who can sing, right?
You need to sing for us on this podcast, though.
You have to pay me, my sister. Pay me first. As I was saying, so for people that can sing, right? Like you would just find yourself maybe eating something really nice, or you are in a very good mood, and all of a sudden you just burst into song. I'm working on sunshine, something like that. Like even just temporary moods of happiness make you to sing. What about an eternal mindset of God as your source, God as your maker, and thinking about what He has done for you? If you don't burst into song or praise, something is missing. So that's why we lead. In church we have people that lead in music, the worship and praise parts that we know so well in Nigeria, because it's part of worship. All we're just saying is that it's not exactly the only thing, because a lot of people come and then they are singing, just like Tabitha Dee was just mentioning. Now you are living a life, your life is a certain kind of way, and then you are doing certain acts of worship and you're feeling yourself like Monday to Saturday, you're just living anyhow. Then on Sunday, you're the one lifting your hand, singing higher than every other person. Like anybody that stands beside you will hear that sonorous voice as you are singing and shouting on top of your head. That's why we started with telling us that it's about our whole being. It's not just about the songs that come out of our mouths. And some of us, actually, we're not even living like directly opposite lives. It's more like there's no passion, we're just lukewarm, we're just going around our daily businesses, and we're just like, as long as I can sing songs to God, I'm worshiping. But nothing about your life is showing worship. Like anybody that's looking at you will not know this one is serving any God or is living according to the principles of any God. So yeah, that's the balance that I wanted to bring. But you know what? Tabitha Dee was going on a very interesting tangent about like a way of living and all of that. So please continue. I just wanted to interject. Continue, my dear. Have the floor.
Just as I was saying, I think that at the back of our minds, so at the back of your mind, at any point in which you are going about your day-to-day activities, right? You're on the road, you see someone that needs help, you choose to just take out few minutes to help the person out. At work, a colleague of yours is really, really in a very tight position and the person really needs help, even without asking you, right? Your parents, they want you to help them with something It's going to take you a lot to get that thing done, but you still go the extra mile, right, to do all of these things. Your friend might have done something to you that really, really hurt you, and you're finding it really difficult to even understand, because there are days when I ask myself, but why are some people just like this?
Mm,
Like in this particular age and time, that's a very rampant question with me. And I'm like, how? Why? How did we even get here?
mm,
Right? And some of these things, social media is not even making it any easier for us, because everybody's life is out there,
mm.
right? And there's now a very, very interesting battle of balance. Okay, what am I supposed to put out there? What am I supposed not to? What am I supposed to do when people are watching me? What am I supposed to not
Especially now that
do?
people can just go and set up tripods and be like, "This is me as I'm worshiping." Yeah, it's true.
Everybody's creating content. Everybody's out there, right? All of these things, we need to ask ourselves deeper questions. Why am I doing this thing? Is this a lifestyle that God will be pleased about? Is this something that even carries weight enough for God to say that, no, this particular girl, this particular child of mine is using this talent or this gift in a way that is glorifying me and is pointing men or people back to me and giving me all of the glory. That is the kind of lifestyle. That is a very critical form of worship that is getting very diluted these days. Your
Mm,
life, what are you representing? At
mm.
work, on the streets, in your community, what do they know you as? What are you identifying as? Are you identifying as a person that any small thing is going to scattered everywhere? Any small thing, that person, she's very, very, we're not calling nonsense. So just, it's fine. We get it that sometimes, right? You need to also tell people the truth. But I'm a very huge fan of balance. If there's no balance in this world, everything's going to be very one-sided, right? So I think that is all I have to say on this floor that Lola has put me on.
Okay, so moving on, we're going to be talking about the very first instance in scripture where we talked about like worship and offering and all of that, and that would be the story of Cain and Abel. For any of us who are not familiar, maybe you're not familiar with the Bible, or you're not believers, Cain and Abel story you can find in Genesis 4. And it is the story of the children of Adam and Eve. And it's just a very interesting story about like giving offering and worshiping God. And it says that when God looked down at them, he assessed their persons as well as what they brought. So it's not just like what they were giving, but who they were. And that's why he's called the God who searches the intents and purposes of our hearts, right? So Abel and his offering was accepted while Cain was not. And it's very interesting wording. It says Abel and his offering, not just his offering. Abel and his offering.
And it was even Abel that came first.
Exactly. Is both you as a person and the things that you do. So you cannot claim to worship God and all of that, and then all those things are missing. But at the same time, if you're just doing that, and then you as yourself are not someone that can be offered up as a living sacrifice, you're not worshiping with your whole being, then there's a disparity. They go hand in hand. But you as a person, your life comes first. Abel, then his offering. And the Bible didn't tell us that, Cain brought a bad offering, no, because a lot of times I've heard a lot of people say that Abel, because he
Mm-hmm.
brought the fattest lambs, he brought the chemical. Cain was just going around just picking here, 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 here. Let me just give this carrot here, give that lentil there,
I
keep
think
it
there's
with
even there's a narrative that Cain came with rotten produce, farm
I
produce. I'm serious.
I
I think
have
I've heard it
never heard
somewhere.
that. Oh
Just
my
can't
gosh.
remember.
So you see, it's not really the Bible did not. That's very interesting thing. Do not make as a statement of fact what the Bible has not explicitly said. We might say that maybe, but then it didn't say that. It just said that he brought out of his own crops. It just told us that he brought us an offering of the fruit of the ground because he was a farmer while his brother was a livestock, is he a shepherd, or I don't know what to call it, but so that tells us that when we come before God, he doesn't just look at what we do for him. He looks at who we are first before he accepts what we offer unto him, whether songs or sacrifice, whether our money, our service, whatever it is. And even Cain was the first person to even bring an offering to God. If you check in Genesis 4 3
Yes.
to 4, he was the first person to bring to God. So if it is by human standards, like, oh, the first comes, first serve, the first person that brought is the person that is worthy of, but that's not how it works. And a lot of times we're in hurry to give gifts to God or to sing songs to him, and we have not lived lives that are, and I find myself sometimes in that position because, like I said, I can speak to a certain demographic of people that can sing because I sing. And I think that a lot of times you find that worship leaders, we're always quick to break into songs. We want to lead people into worship. We want to be singing in our homes or singing in the church. And a lot of times we are not, if we check our lives, we're not really living in worship, so to speak. And how we can do that practically is coming down soon. Basically what I'm saying is that we don't hurry. So like, oh, let me give, if I get that 1 million, let me just send it to God. Like, you're not different from any of the Pharisees. I'm sure that a lot of them had a lot of money and they were just picking out of the money and just like, okay, let's just throw this into the offering basket. Or Sadducees, let me say. Because I think the Sadducees were richer. That's should we have should we have that conversation?
Don't think so.
But yeah, so it's not just hurrying to give, right? Because if you have not lived a life that's acceptable unto him, it's like when you pour water into a basket. Baskets have holes. No matter how you pour, how much you pour, it's never going to be enough. There's always something that is going to be causing a leakage somewhere. And the highest form of worship is in the lifestyle that we live. So for the Lord to accept anything that you give to him, even the songs you give to him, the money you give to him, the service in his vineyard, which is good and very important, the way you help other people, the good deeds that you do in your community, he first looks at you. If he does not approve of your life, then he can't approve of any of the other things that you do. It's just that simple. And it seems harsh, but it's not because he wants to be like, you have to prove yourself. It's more like, if you have, okay, so let me try and bring it. I'm not sure this is the best analogy, but it's the one that comes to my head. If you have like a parent, right? And the only time that you go to that parent is, or you go to your guardian or something, is when you need something from them or you want to get something from them, they are never going to really view you as someone that they have a relationship with, because it feels
Hmm.
like everything that they do with you is transactional. So while in this
Yeah.
in this instance, it's not really that because, oh, you're come to give him something, because to get something from him, because we're giving like songs to him, we're giving alms and all of that to him. But in a way, it's a mindset that is very transactional. Like, if I should show him and show other people how much I can sing songs to him and give alms and give offering and serve in church, then it will now be as though I am automatically worthy of being called a Christian. It's a kind of eye service that is very transactional in nature, because we are exchanging things that we are doing for a certain kind of status. But what God wants is more of a relationship. As much as Christianity is a religion, it is founded on a relationship, and it is out of that, like I said, when I said, oh, sometimes you'll be happy and then you just start singing a song, it's out of a relationship with God that you can now be like moved to do so many things for him. Look at Abraham, look at David, look at Abel that we just mentioned. All of these people is because of how their hearts were moved towards God and how much they spent time in his presence, and they sought to honor him with all of them. That when he gave them things to do. When he said, okay, this is how I want you to worship me, it wasn't hard for them to do that. They gave out of that relationship, based on that relationship. So if he doesn't approve of your life, you are living a life that's far from him, yet showing a different, presenting a different thing, it's going to be like, it's not adding up. It's not adding up. Hi, thank you for listening up until this point. This discussion will be continued in the next episode, so head into the next one for more. And if it isn't up yet, not to worry. Stay tuned and we'll be back soon. Till next time, God bless.